listen. This very Christmas morning, in a valley far away, they are singing.
Where are we?
A Christmas Day memorial service for those who lost their lives in your great Treclofter pit disaster.
Croeso and welcome to Tales for Wales, the pod that never fails to mine for the gems of the past and to exploit the coal tip that is history for our own personal gain. I'm Jack, and as always, I'm joined by my lovable canary, Franco. And on today's episode, we're chatting about the Pit of Ghosts. But before we go grim, what have you been up to, mate?
Before we go grim, you're the commander in Quim, if you remember last week's intro. Nice. For us, it's just back to back.
Yeah, I say anyone who's listening to binging these, that'll be very funny. Anyone who's
it'll make no
go
sense
back
whatsoever.
and listen to the last one, and then listen to this one again.
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. Before we just get the housekeeping done up front. Again, we don't know. We're recording this before the website's live, but we got the website and the merchandise out. So if you like to support the pod, we'd very much
link
appreciate.
To the website. We'll link to the merch. Go and enjoy both thoroughly.
And the merch is a great way of supporting us, keep the lights on whilst we're... and also you get something for it. So you can join the Patreon, which you get 2 free episodes a month.
You make it sound as if you join the Patreon, I mean, do you get something for it? Barely. With our bloody couple of episodes a month. I
just realised you do get something for it, don't you? I was going to say you don't get anything for it, but you get 2 extra episodes a month. And then if you're doing the other tier, you get an episode dedicated to you. We do research on your hometown. We make a Mabinogion story against you. We have a lot of free bants going on.
What you think that's worth? What you think that's worth? That's between you and God. But but if you buy a T-shirt, you get a T-shirt.
You get something physical.
Just commerce.
Yeah, that's just commerce. Yeah. I mean, if you really, if you're intelligentsia, you join the Patreon because that's for all our sharp wit, our Commander in Quim style bants. Really.
Also, it's art is priceless. So if anything, you're getting really good bang for your buck on the Patreon.
Exactly.
Think about that. Think about that.
And talking of that, should we give a shout out to a Patreon member?
Yes, we should. And this week's lucky member is Andrew Howell.
Oh, and you'd be howling mad not to join him. If you wouldn't be joining Andrew Howell, you'd be howling mad not to be with our boy Andy, or Drewy himself.
I'm trying to think of something else for Howell. Howling.
Howell's Moving Castle? Is that something?
That is something.
Wales has castles.
That's a Studio Ghibli move. That Wales has castles. We found our connection. Howell's the department store that shut down in Cardiff a while back. That's
defunct.
Also something you has, yeah. Andrew Howell, defunct. It's open store. Yeah.
Do you think Andrew goes by Andrew, Andy, or the enigmatic Drew? I like it when they go for Drew.
We piss off our friend Andy, don't we? If we call him Drew, he doesn't like that.
No, he doesn't like that, does he, Daddy?
But I'm assuming Howlsy, I reckon he loves Drew. Drew Howell, he says.
I reckon when he calls
Drew
up
Howell.
Radio stations, he goes, "Oh, what's your name? My name's Drew Peacock," and they read out Drew Peacock.
Very good, very good.
You sounded like
Butthead.
Or also Sideshow Bob when he stands on those rakes that hit him in the head. So
yes, nice one, Drew.
Nice one, Droopy. We got to give you that. Sorry, Droopy.
Nice one, Droopy Cock. Yeah, we're great with giving people nicknames on this, aren't we? So Andrew Howell now is Droopy Cock.
Yeah.
Who did we give it? It was Yan, but what did we call him? It was
Jizz Yan.
Yan. That was that one.
I do think we have to.
Did we? we didn't give one to Kerry Heaton, did we? We just waxed lyrical for a while about
should we start giving Patreon members nicknames? Kerry
Kerry Heaton, Angel of Death, obviously.
Okay, Angel of Death. Kerry Heaton, the Angel of Death.
Well, based on our 80s drama that we said she was involved with, she's she creates her own work as a nurse, contract killer by night.
That's Jana Banana.
Day. Oh, sorry, Kerry. Yeah, no, that is Jana Banana. Sorry.
Mind?
I know. It's just because I'm on the list of things and Kerry Heaton came up. I apologise. I'm confusing our lovely patrons' personalities. Forgive me for I have sinned. Yeah, I have a bit.
Do you know? Guess what I did this weekend? No, you have to guess. Stop going. You were drinking?
I was drinking. This weekend, what would you have done? You just said you didn't. You had a booze-free one.
And a booze-free weekend. Me and Em had a weekend fully together. At one stage, I said, I'm going to go for a walk in the rain. And she was like, can I come? I was like, yeah, go on then. So we didn't have a single second apart.
Walk in the rain. What's wrong with you? I know you're a rain shagger.
Rain. I absolutely love it.
Rain shagger.
You merely adopted the rain. I was born into it.
Go on, I can't think. I can't possibly think what you would be doing in the rain.
All right, I'm in a car, and there's a lot of other people around me. We pull up to a car park.
Oh, not like a
dog in?
Well, I wasn't going to say a drive-in theatre.
Well, a theatre in sorts. If by theatre you mean quite intense and a little bit scary. We did a car boot sale.
Oh, right. What, is it you sold stuff?
Yeah. We became absolute merchants down the car boot.
Thrifters.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
We're trying to sell the flat. Well, we're selling the flat, in the process of selling the flat. And we got loads and loads of shit we want to get rid of. So we thought, right, let's try and make a bit of money. And then anything we don't sell will go straight to Oxfam. So we had fucking so much stuff, man. I'll send you a photo now of this, once we were set up. But we had fucking boxes and boxes of stuff, a whole fucking rail of
just trying to flog your shit to
the
for pennies on the pound.
It is so intense down there, man, because people take it like a full-time profession. So it was under IKEA. So IKEA was the roof. So if it's raining, you're fine. It's in the car park of IKEA.
Yeah.
And when you're in there, they said get there for 9 and punters come at 10. I'm even using the lingo now. And so we got there at 9.
Punters, it's an industry term. You wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't get it.
I'm just looking at a picture now. Jesus Christ! If Emma wasn't literally in that photo, I would think this was just a piss take.
Yeah, but the thing is that Emma's got a really nice car, so it did look a bit mad, having all of our stuff out. But it's mostly so my mum gave me stuff to sell. Emma's mum gave us stuff to sell. Emma was selling all of her clothes. All of the shit crockery, genuine shit, like a lamp we had,
candles.
Used
got
candles.
A box of. I'm assuming this box of bubble wrap is wrapping that you tuck things in, not like £2 for £1 on bubble wrap, £2 for £1. You can take whatever you want. Yeah, all right, 50p for you, darling. Yeah,
well, do you know, I went into this Alan. You know, an Alan Partridge where he goes to do a day in the supermarket.
Go safe now, my love.
Go safe now, my love. Do you need help with packing? Yeah. I was going £2 for £1. Oh, it ain't what it used to be. Around. Oh, £2. All right. £2 for £3 for you, darling. 2 for 2.
Yeah. Last hour of the market now. Last hour of the market. Right, 50% off. 50% off everything.
But man, it was so. Me and Emma were a bit anxious about doing it anyway because we're not salespeople or fucking the people we got there were fucking intense, man. All a bit fucking.
They just want a bargain. They don't care what they're buying, do they? They just want a fucking bargain.
When we parked up, I said get there for 9. People come at 10, so we got there at 9. Just we started unloading. This man came up to me and went, "Do you have any electricals?" I was like, "No." He said, "Do you have any games?" I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You said any games?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I am actually. I'm selling a bunch of games." And he was like, "Oh, I'll take them. How much?" And I was like, "Oh, tenner for them all." He was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Well," so I said, "I got a Wii remote." And he was like, "Yeah, I'll buy them." And then he goes to sell them on his stand. And I was just we just wanted to get rid of things, but I hadn't even put a bag down, right? And there were so many. They just go through all your shit. Me and Emma were so it was bizarre. It was Also, Em's really attached to her clothes. She loves them, but she just wants to get rid of them because she wants to just get them out of the house. But she was kind of like crying with every sale because she loves things. she was like,
and these people were just rifling through with their grubby
I said
little
to her, I was like,
mitts.
don't sell it, keep it. And she was like, no, I want to. But she also does love things. But they descended on us like seagulls. Before it was even over there, like, what have you got? What have you got? Just like,
I can imagine you turning into like, you know that film Labyrinth where she goes into the little like memory world and she's like got all her old shit and there's that little like goblin thing full of stuff going, oh, you need those, don't you? Oh, you need these, don't you? Oh, you need the candles, don't you? I can imagine you going like some poor old lady going like, oh, I don't know if I need all these clothes. Oh yeah, got to have these, you got to have the candles. Oh, the PS5 games, you got to have them. Come on, you got to take them.
But man, it was full on. We made like £100, and then we just took everything else to Oxfam and like fucking boxes of it, and you got free hot dog from
giving back.
Oh, I mean, it just helps you out, then it just gets out of your house. But it was all stuff like just crockery and shit, and like things we don't use and things my parents don't use. But it was so fucking like. People down there, they should make like a BBC Three sitcom mockumentary about people who live at car boot sales and who take it funny.
Yeah,
like they come around afterwards. All the people come to talk to us who work on the other stores, and they were like, "Your first one, is it? Oh well, you got your stripes and all this stuff." It's like, shut up! I'm just here, and
I will never see you again.
And they were all just they were lovely, but just a bit fucking like they're having a go at like
well, that's their like that's their full that's their nine. No, that's their 9 to 5.
Like, well, they kept saying that people from like lots of people from like African countries who have lots of market culture do a lot more haggling. So, like people who in countries where markets and haggling is a much bigger thing than it is here, they go to these places to like properly haggle. And with us, they'd come over, they say how much is that? I just said everything's 50p. I was like 50p, and they were like, oh right, 25p. I was like, yeah, fuck it, fine, whatever, and just like just giving shit.
That's
away.
Insane though, isn't it? Imagine going like
20,
it's 50p. Yeah. I have to get at least 50%.
One guy,
that, otherwise it's not worth my.
One guy was like, I said, oh, how much is it? £1, and he went, can you do 50p? I went, yeah, fine. He went, I've only got 20 quid. I was like, oh, fuck off. I was like, but you get a free hot dog from IKEA, which is a bit.
Well, that was worth the price of admission.
I went up there, and it was hell trying to get the hot dog. It was like so busy. God. But also the money you pay, like it's all for a charity. You pay like a certain amount to be there, but all that goes to the Noah's Ark Foundation. So I guess that's something. But man, it was fucking.
So you're basically a man of the people now.
I'm kind of Jesus in a way.
I was going to say, you're such a
You sound so bitterly disgusted with me, by the way, about all this.
No, I it's bringing me back. I used to go to car boot sales. My granddad used to take me to car boot sales all the time.
As well.
And he used to go out and find up the nearest like kiosk that was selling a pint and be like, you go off on your own now and meet you back here at like, I don't know, 4 hours or something, and then.
Yeah, I did give a little, this little kid who was like, going around with them, like loads of siblings. I just gave her some free stuff. I was like, "Here, take this," because it was just like I remember being that person as well. I've been dragged around. You can't afford anything, so you just get some little bits and bobs.
Well, that was the thing. Me and my brother used to get from my granddad £2 pocket money every week. We used to see him, right? So we go to this car boot sale with £2. And I know, like, you are not generous. Not a lot of them were generous benefactors like you that would go like 50p, 25p. Yeah, fine. So a lot of stuff you couldn't afford anything for fucking £2. So we would just go around, and go, like that meme where it goes, looks nice. Wish I could afford it.
Yeah,
but
it was fun.
No, I'm not disgusted, mate. It's bringing me back. That's all. I just wonder what the state of the market industry is these days. I can't imagine
they actually hit a lot of this saying, everyone just sells it online now. I was like, yes, because you don't have to fucking sit here in the cold and the rain.
Fucking easier. Yeah.
Like don't have a go at things being good. So but it was I don't know, it was an experience to say the least.
Am I in like a few months' time? I'm going to hear more like, "Oh, we did another one, just for a laugh," and then somebody like, "Oh, no, see the bargains we've had, mate. You wouldn't believe it's like stealing money. It's so good."
But it was quite an experience. I tell you about this as well in work the other day. There's this lady who has like a dog that's really got bad behavioural issues and it hates guys. And she always brings it into the office, and people get a bit stressed at being in the office because it barks and like goes really annoyed at people.
I feel like you shouldn't bring your dog in.
Yeah, I reckon that's everyone's with first
one
thought.
Gender. Yeah,
and but now it doesn't even like women, so it's like it's a really, really touchy dog. It's a lovely dog, but
it's just become hateful all over now.
And apparently she took to like a dog psychologist, and the lady was like, "Oh, it sees humans as giant spiders, so it barks at them because it's scared." But you think, "Oh, that's so sad," but really, it just goes up to you whilst you're trying to make a sandwich, going,
how on earth, like, kind of dog psychologist? I get that maybe you got like a behavioural like specialist, but how you go? It thinks you're a big spider. What the? Does a dog know the fuck? Like, no, well, shut up. Like, so stupid.
She came round. The dog came round, so I'm a couple of desks away, and the dog came round to me, and she was sniffing my coat over my bag because, like, I think she could smell Bo. And then she started like growling at me, and I was like, "What the fuck do I do here? Like, it's come into my area. I didn't really know what to do." And then my friend said, "Oh, just don't look at it in the eyes." I was like, I thought she was laughing, and then my friend was like looking away, and then it came round, and I started speaking to the lady who owns the dog, who's super lovely, but she was like, "Yeah, but just don't look at her in the eye. Just don't look at the dog in the eye." So I was like looking around,
she'll bring in the bloody office.
And then we was chatting for a bit, and this dog growling. So I looked down at it growling, and she went, "Don't look at it in the eye." It's like, listen, you can't. As
if it was going to jump up and go straight for your jugular.
But she kind of got annoyed at me for looking at the dog, and I was like, the dog just barked, and I looked down. I'm allowed to be reactive if something barks at you, to look at it. And I was just like, this is a bit
do you know how many dogs I look in the eye and nothing bad happens? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's your dog has got the issue. It's not me. I'm not a dog starer that triggers every dog I see.
I do feel bad for it because obviously, like, the dog's not massively happy, and the lady who owns the dog really sad because she loves the dog to bits. But I just like maybe don't make me feel bad for looking at dog in the eye.
Just get the issue sorted. You can train dogs. Just fucking take it to a specialist and get that sorted. And don't take it to that fucking dog psychologist on about spiders.
She is taking it to like that stuff, but I just like, I don't know, man.
I think, and also when you said that it just came up to you,
if
your dog is like, oh, it hates men, oh really, and women, and if you look at it in the eye, it's going to go fucking psycho. Maybe keep it on a hang on, one, don't take it into the office, and two, maybe if you do, put it on a leash.
Yeah.
Put it on a leash. Don't just like going, this guy hates every living creature apart from me. Off you go.
Yeah, so it was just, I don't know. I don't want to be too harsh or too sly because I get it. You love your dogs like your children, don't you?
But of course, yeah.
Just don't bring your children to work.
Just yeah, exactly. Just how I sprang into my mind the other day. It was when we were, I was re-listening to our beer in Wales episode, in the history of alcohol in Wales episode, the other day when I was because I was setting it up, putting it on RSS and everything, and I was like, "Oh, I'll listen through it." And we were on about. We used to go to our mate Gez's shed. We used to drink there when we were like 15, something like that. And for those who hadn't heard that episode, basically our mate Gez's parents, they were one of those like when, if you're gonna get smashed blackout drunk, I'd rather you do it in the house, okay, rather than on the street. Yeah. But then they were also like, don't be in the house, be in the shed. The garage. I remember that being so cold in that fucking garage.
Freezing.
You basically were drinking to keep warm by the end.
Yeah.
But I remember one of the first times I went there, and it was maybe one of my first like big sessions where I remember like people being really like actually drunk, like a bit pissed, as opposed to just having a little bit of a buzz, because there was a time where we was like, we'd have 4 cans and be like, oh god, we're such nutters, when it was just like a little buzz. But yeah, I remember that one, and fucking in the morning, I remember Kez's mum was fuming because someone, and I don't remember to this day who, in her garden had ripped up all her plants and trees from the garden, just ripped them out of the ground. Yeah. And I think Gez said it was him, but I don't know if he was just like falling on the sword for the rest of us. Like, I'm Spartacus, I'm the tree puller.
I'm going to assume if Geth was there, it was Geth.
Geth was there, I remember.
And then, in that case, it was Geth.
It probably was Geth then in that case. I remember because he was drinking some whiskey. And someone, I remember he had a couple of swigs, and someone went, "Oh, I heard you get really aggy on whiskey." And he went, "What the fuck is it to you?" And I was like, I was like playing to type. I like it, yeah.
You ain't lying.
Yeah, spot on. That tracks.
Mm.
Yeah. Good times.
Shall I crack on with today's epi?
Let's do it. Yeah. So I did again. I took a swig as you were asking me. Go. Go on. Tell me of the pit of ghosts.
Well, from one pit to another, from Gez's shed to a literal pit.
Very good. That's actually one of your better transitions. That was very smooth.
I'm going to do. So sorry, let me cut that one. So I'm going to cover the Pit of Ghosts. And I got some of this information from a website called Folklore Thursday, written by a guy called Mark Rees. And I can give more on him a bit later. But it's actually quite a tragic story that can really emphasize how awful it must have been working down the mines. And I've been thinking about that because my TikTok keeps showing me guys working in these mines. And I don't know if it's like maybe staged or not real, but it just looks fucking so intense. And because it's, sometimes like on TikTok, you get these like fake things that try and ask for a bit of charity, but they're actually not real. Not charity, but for you to send them gifts and stuff, but they turn out to be not real. But anyway, it just seems so claustrophobic and hideous. And
we've only touched ever so slightly on. I know we've touched on mining communities and stuff before, but like the actually going down and doing that work. Christ, what a fucking slog!
I know,
of a life, isn't it? Just to do that, was it back then? It would have been like 6 days a week, maybe even 7. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it was. They had to fight for their 7th day, didn't they?
Yeah.
If I do get to move to Abergavenny, I've been really close to the Big Pit, and I want to take Emma there. So I think that'd be like a good thing to show.
You can go spelunking, and you
go
down there and start mining stuff out, get some ore, sell it at your car boot sale.
Panhandling. But I was trying to find an exact number on how many people have died in mines in Wales, but there wasn't like a definitive answer. But I went through quite a few different references, and most of the time it just says many thousands. But when you get things like the Gresford or the Anghennydd disaster, those two together is 700 people death in just 2 disasters, and there were multitude of disasters across South Wales and Wales in general. So those numbers can quickly rack up. And today's story, though, is going to focus not only on the true story of a pit tragedy, but also the traditions of Welsh miners' superstitious outlooks. So I'm not going to go into the traditions because we do that on something else that we've been working on, which might come to light. So I don't want to spoil that. But I'm just going to cover, and that's a bit of a teaser. But this here is just looking at just the some aspects of their superstitious nature. Now, working in the mines during the 1800s was no easy job, and accidents and sadly deaths were really common. And with that came a real sense of acknowledging the mortality of man and considering what happens next post the final curtain. So this guy who I've read a lot of this from, Mark Rees, he shares an excerpt published first in 1894 that reflects the superstitious nature of Welsh miners. He says, besides the association of the presence of evil, of the evil one with mines, there's a shadowy belief, scarcely reduced to a proposition, that the spirit of anyone killed in a pit hovers round that spot at any rate until after the body is consigned to sacred earth. To this idea is doubtless due to custom of spending working in a pit when fatality accident happens. All the men engaged in that part of the work can come up for the mine and do not descend to the shaft until after the funeral. So if someone was to die in an area whilst you're working in, you're not going down there until they've laid him to rest in their sacred earth.
Because you think he's going to be spooky ghosts,
he's going to come get you. And me and Jack separately looked into the superstition of miners, which we will do as an episode. You will hear that from us in some form soon.
Yes,
But our story is looking at the colliery, that's how you say it, colliery in Port Talbot called Morfa. And the whole area of Port Talbot's renowned for mining and its steel and its tradition of hard work done by even harder men and boys. And one of the worst Welsh mining disasters of the Victorian era happened at Morfa in 1890 when 89 poor souls died following a catastrophic explosion. But that wasn't the first time this happened. In the same mine, 4 men died following a similar explosion back in 1958. And then 40 men died in another explosion. And then 29 died in 1870. So in
Jesus.
31 years, 162 people have died, which, considering how much smaller the population was and how close-knit these communities were, those numbers would be huge and have like a gut-wrenching effect on the families and communities they left.
So something tells me the old H&S wasn't exactly enforced back then, was it? Like the health and safety was probably quite lax, I imagine.
But if you think of that's 162 people, if you count every number, but then you add a wife, you add a child, you add children, you add parents, you add friends, like that number balloons up to being so devastating.
How many people affected? And like you said, they were very close knit communities. I mean, still a lot of them are these days are very close knit, but everyone, all the miners would know each other, which means all the wives knew each other, which means all the friends and all that. Yeah.
So it's no surprise that the coal mine became known as the Pit of Ghosts. And that wasn't totally uncommon for Welsh miners to have so many deaths. And it wasn't just bizarre that this one place had so many. This was quite commonplace throughout Wales.
Of course,
what makes Morfa Colliery stand out is the fact of a series of ghost sightings and unexplainable events that happened at the colliery before these disasters took place. Which many took place to be like otherworldly signs of danger to come. So people saw these sightings and unexplainable ghosts. They're like, right, this place isn't great.
Bad omens.
So much so that some even refused to work in the colliery following the appearance of strange sights and sounds. And due to that, they lived to tell the tale, that they'd see sightings as these harbingers of impending doom. So again, I'm going to quote from Mark Rees, who gets this from a journalist from the time, who wrote 2 days after the 1890 disaster. He said, the journalist says, "Strange as it may appear, it is beyond a doubt that the belief has for a long time been entertained by the Morfa workmen that the pit was haunted. It has been said by reliable men that there were strange noises heard, like thunder in the distance, and the slamming of air doors during the last week, and strange visions alleged to have been seen in the colliery. This was the talk of the neighbourhood previous to the sad occurrence, and was a subject of conversation among the workmen before going in on Monday morning, several hours before the disaster took place. It further alleged 2 or 3 weeks ago several workmen left the pit because of these visions, which they regarded as presentiments of coming evil, and they went to work in Maesteg and other valleys." And then during an inquiry as to what happened during the explosion, there's an extract that says, "One singular incident that related in the course of the inquiry some short time before the explosion, the men had asked for a thorough inspection of the mine. Several of the witnesses were questioned as to the reason of this request. The answer was that the men thought there were some spirits in the mine. Strange sounds had been heard, and it's believed that something would be seen at the bottom of the Cribwr vein. In short, an impression prevailed that the mine was haunted, and that an inspection would put the spirits to flight." So that's kind of saying, like, people at the time were like sure something was going on, and they just
need some reassurance by the sound of things, didn't they? They wasn't like something wasn't going to something bad wasn't going to happen.
And they also thought there was something evil down there. And so much so that some people were like, no, we're actually going to go further afield. I'm going to go to Maesteg. I'm going to leave Port Albert, and I'm going to go to the other valleys, because they were like so adamant. So Mark Rees, the investigation found that ghostly ghouls and creepy happenings happened for years after as well. So much so that the Cambrian newspaper wrote in March 1896, Morfa Colliery has been infested with restless spirits for about a week. They are supposed to be 6 in number and to be the ghosts of some miners who were killed in the explosion. They make their presence known by wailing and knocking all over the underground workings. These divisions, it is said, they vary by singing of dirges and the roll of muffled drums. So Mark, like in his book and in his blog, he makes this really good point. He says, even if the ghosts or sightings weren't true, those who believed they saw them and then left to work elsewhere were certainly saved by these aberrations that warned them off Morfa Colliery. And Mark himself has written a book, it's quite called Ghosts of Wales, Accounts from the Victorian Archives. And if you're interested in this sort of thing, he's like a great person to check out. And that's it. It's quite a short story. There's not a huge amount other than just a lot of superstition.
No, but it's interesting that, like, even if you like you said, if you chalk it up to superstition and there was no ghosts and there was no, it's no evil portents or anything like that, it's just in your own head. That was obviously that is worked out. Do you know what I mean? And that they didn't go back there and they survived another disaster type thing.
Yeah, and it's so. Yeah,
listen to your gut. It could just be your gut feeling. Just exactly. Maybe it's your gut, your subconscious telling you shouldn't be there. I imagine it's not natural for a human being to be down chipping away at ore veins in the mid, like a mile underground anyway, to be honest. So probably I can imagine my own subconscious saying, get out of here. But not because I saw ghosts, but just like, this is fucking shit, mate. I don't want to work down here.
It has been such hard. Like, they used to do 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and Sunday and holidays were literally days off. And that was in the...
Fuck that, man.
Yeah, that was the 19th century.
Fuck that.
And so that's when this was. And then there was a 3-day week. In like the 1974, there was that 3-day week when there was like, do you know about the 3-day week? It was when they were trying to conserve electricity.
Yeah, it's the I'd stop the energy stuff, wouldn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, so most coal miners would do 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And when would you go to the pub, man? I generally don't know when you'd go to the pub.
I think that's where the human rights are being encroached into. Yeah. Because when are you going to the pub? Because I'd be going, listen, mate, it's all well and good. You be working me to death.
Probably drink, but where am I going? Wouldn't you?
Is it like back in medieval times where, like, your blacksmiths and all that? Because water back in medieval times wasn't necessarily the cleanest. It'd be safer to drink weak ale.
Well, that's
all day.
It's not medieval times. That there was the times of Benjamin Franklin and stuff like that. They used to call him the waterman or something. He was the only one who didn't drink beer because everyone else would drink like
Adam Sandler Waterboy.
Yeah, but so that's like what 17th, 1800s that time. Like
Christ, that's not even that's not medieval times.
No, medieval stuff. There was actually quite a lot of. They didn't have the same ailments because they didn't have sugar. They didn't have like really unhealthy diets. They didn't have like the things that were introduced later in the centuries that did cause like
it was a bloody ball back then.
No, but like health stuff. We started getting a lot unhealthier when we introduced sugar and like all these like Celts weren't working down the mines for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week.
You sound like you're going to burst into like there was no such thing as ADHD when I was a kid. There was no such thing as autism when I was a kid. We just got on with it.
We just got on with it. It was easier. But yeah, imagine.
I'm sure my school life was absolutely shit and no one seemed to understand me, but there's no such thing as it.
Yeah. Yeah, so they would have been working 12 hours a day down there and having people around you die and fucking explosions. And imagine you said, where do you work? Oh, I work in the pit of ghosts. That seems reassuring.
Yeah. And also when you said like, a load of my mates died in an explosion the other day. Oh, that sucks, man. At least it's only a one-off. Oh no, they've been happening on and off for the last 30 years, to be honest. Right. Maybe pop up to Merthyr instead of going back.
But even those other places, they're all like, they were all much.
I suppose they were all the same. It probably happened quite a lot, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned earlier, we talk about like, in a different thing, we talk about miners, traditions and sort of superstitions and things like that, but a lot of them are born because of disasters, and you realise, Christ, there's a lot of mining disasters in Wales. Obviously, statistically speaking, there's going to be because there's so many more mines in Wales back from the day. So many disasters.
I did read about the conditions of working under there. So we know there was like, it was dark, obviously completely dark, like no light at all. You'd get tallow candles made from animal fat. They were cheap, but miners would have to buy their own, so they often wouldn't have them on because it cost you too much money.
Or paying you're paying through it.
So you're working in the complete dark, completely cramped. Some of the underground roadways were as little as 60 centimeters to 120. So that's like two 30 centimeter rulers. Like a ruler. Think of that 4 times on itself, or twice on itself. And loads of them had to because miners didn't want to increase the cost by making them bigger, so they made these shafts fucking tiny. So loads of the time they'd use small children to push and pull the larger tuskets of coal because they could fit down them a bit easier. And the mines were also incredibly hot and really wet, so they were hot, wet, and dusty.
That's the thing. You don't seem to I wouldn't think of a mine as being hot,
No,
because you think it's underground, but it's all that compact. You're in a very cramped area, so all that heat is just heating up the air you're in.
And then you had the dust as well. And there was no really poor ventilation, so the dust stayed into your lungs. And it was so hot, workers would often work with no clothes on, which is a bit. You get your tally.
That's what happens in. You've seen that the old tallywhackers. You've seen that series Chernobyl, isn't it?
Because
they say they can't use fans in that because it'll blow radioactive dust around. So they're all there, like you said, with the tallywhackers out.
Get your tallywhacker out. So they also had water was always present in coal mines, as it comes down from the rocks and gathers underneath in these reservoirs.
The groundwater.
So flooding was also a possibility and like a constant fear. And then there was also the fact that there was rats and mice down there because they just got in. Generally, people leaving food, all that stuff. So they'd nip away and bite at the miners themselves. So it just
like a fucking dream. Yeah. I think is at least I bet they were probably really well paid and compensated for it. I'm sure that was the deal. Yeah, probably just paid an absolute tuppence for just the shittest working environment you can imagine. Families would walk together to the pit. The son would go down, the husband would go down, the wife would be either them walking back and just doing the cleaning, cooking, and all that shit ready, or should they be doing some jobs down in the pit themselves? It just sounds fucking miserable. I don't know how people did it. I generally don't know how people did put up with it. I get stressed. I know.
To a meeting.
Oh Christ, yeah. If I've got 3 meetings in a day, even for half an hour each, I'm like, oh my God, could you ask any more of this physical vessel? You're pushing me beyond my limits. And then, of course, that's just nothing.
And what's the other
thing? Actually nothing, just me being...
We cover this on some of our other episodes, but they don't even go back to you said they don't get paid anything. The houses are owned by the owners of the mines, so they have to pay the rent to live in these one bedroom, no more than 2 bedroom for larger families. So you live in a 1 bedroom house that you're not even owning, you're renting from the fucking mine owner. It just sounds...
Was it you
shit.
saying in one of our other episodes as well that it was so they own essentially the mine, the people who own the mine
and the
own
shop
the town you live in, and they own the shop, and they don't pay. Some of them didn't pay you in money; they paid you in essentially tokens,
and they
tokens that could only be redeemed in their shops. So if you want to eat and God forbid have a tin, you got to go down and spend over the odds of these fucking tokens. It's utter racket.
Yeah.
So slavery. Yeah.
Well, that's the end of the old pit of ghosts. People, could you, if you got this far, go drop us a review if you can, please, because they really help, and a written review helps us massively in the ratings. So I think most people do it on Spotify, and you can't leave a written review. But if you have a different form, can you drop us a iTunes or something, or iPod?
Yeah, if it lets you do it, give us even if it's Die Down Boys, something like that.
Yes, diolch am gwrando. Love you lots.
Diolch pawb. See you later.